I have gotten so good at focusing on, I like to just call it surrender and then spirit-led living. So the less that we focus on what we cannot control, because we know in real estate there are so many things that are outside of our control, the less that we focus on trying to control every situation and giving that to God, the better off our lives end up being.
Has there ever been a time in your life when you were afraid to take a risk? You didn't know what to do, or you just hesitated a little bit? Maybe you wanted to do your best, so you were under stress. Anxiety was really hitting the top of the roof, so to speak, and you just wanted to find peace and joy. If that sounds like something that you want or that you've experienced, then this podcast will be the best for you. I'm Dianna Kokoszka, and this is Becoming More. And I am with Mackenzie Shelton. She is part of our inner circle. And Mackenzie, it has been so good to get to know you and all of the strengths that you possess. And I'm excited about today. Let me tell you, we're going to learn a lot. So welcome.
Yes, thank you, Dianna. I am so excited to have this conversation with you.
Well, here we go, because you have been specializing in acreage sales and in residential sales in Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska, right? And
Yes.
you've done very well. You've built a great team, and yet you've been through this journey that some people, they're afraid of that journey. So let's talk a little bit about what your journey has been.
Sure, absolutely. So I've been licensed for 11 years, and we service the Omaha, Lincoln, Nebraska areas, and then also the Council Bluffs, Iowa, and surrounding areas. And I started a team about 6.5 years ago, and I will tell you what, it has been quite a journey, a lot of learning lessons and struggles and challenges to overcome, but I just absolutely love this business and can't imagine doing anything else, especially now that I get to pour into other agents and help them grow their business as well.
You know, that's the best part. And as you're building this team, though, you started out yourself. And so let's go through some of the journey, though, because is every team member that you hired right at the beginning still with you?
No, certainly not. And I definitely had a interesting journey into owning a team. It was kind of actually not on my radar, and was actually approached by someone who wanted to partner with me originally. And while that partnership did last for a little bit, about 2 years, we ultimately decided that we needed to go our separate ways. And I actually bought him out of the business about 2 months before I gave birth to my youngest child. Yeah. So I kind of started on this path with a lot of kind of rocky starts and trying to do things while I was postpartum and on maternity leave and all of that. But I am very blessed that the most of the people that are currently on my team have been with me for approximately 3 years, a couple of them a little bit longer. So it has been kind of this journey of like learning about who are the people that I really want to surround myself with, and how can I help not only fit them into my world, but fit myself into their world. So.
See, I love how you work with your team. And so how important is it? Let's just talk about building teams, because that takes a lot. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to bring others along, it slows you down, for heaven's sakes, other than you can go further. So what are some of the things that you've learned from building a team that you want to share with everyone else?
So I think a lot of people start a team for the wrong reasons, and it's usually a combination of wanting to have some leverage, but also kind of this need to maybe get to the next step in their career, right? Okay, I am this successful, solo agent, and this is just naturally the next step. And while most people start it with those good intentions, like what it really turns out to be is having to manage people a lot and manage different personalities and people who have different goals and aspirations besides your own. And it is definitely a difficult journey to kind of understand why you're really doing this long term, because like to your point, it is very difficult to do. And that's why a lot of teams, I think, don't see it past, just like real estate agents, we don't see it past year 2 or 3 because all of those challenges come up and people just don't want to kind of keep the momentum going. So
Yeah, most of them get a team because they just want to sell more real estate, and they think if they add people to their team, then they'll do more transactions. And that's the way it should be. They're taking on a leadership role. How many people do you think actually look at that leadership role and pour into their leadership? I mean, they really study leadership.
It's very interesting now, having had a team for 6.5 years and being able to now kind of look through a lens of like the other teams that are even in my area or, other people that I've come across in the industry. I would say the majority of them don't have leadership on their mind, really. Like they're doing it to better themselves rather than focus on other people. So
Yeah, it's more about the success than the significance, isn't it? So
absolutely.
you've joined the inner circle to learn about leadership and all the different styles of leadership. And a lot of people believe that, hey, we just have all these strengths and we've got to develop those strengths instead of helping to pull up some of the weaknesses. So in those leadership styles and the things that we're doing, do you find one style works better? And let me just give some of those styles to our listeners, and I'd like to know which ones you really feel are your strengths. Coercive, you just do this and do it right now. Maybe you're authoritative, you just rally the team together. This is where we're going, this is how we're going to do it. Maybe you're affiliate. You love the people connection. It's all about the people, right? Or you set goals. You're a pace setter. You can push to get those goals done. Or a democratic leader where you're just asking all the people what they think. Or a coaching leader that literally coaches the people and develops the people to become better. Which ones do you think you are, and why is that important to even know?
Yeah, I definitely think I lean more towards coaching and helping people achieve the goals that they set for themselves. I definitely have had people on my team say over and over again that the reason that they stay is because I help hold them accountable to the things that they said that they wanted to do. So,
Yeah.
so it kind of takes a little bit of the coaching aspect and a little bit of, hey, I know you might not be having a great week, but you still have things that you need to do in order to hit the goals that you set for yourself. So, yeah.
So it's about the goals that they set for themselves, and you've got to bring in those team goals as well, for heaven's sakes. So how much of a mindset or belief system do you bring into that the habits? Do you have to change some of their habits?
Oh, yes. It's very funny. I actually have sat down with a couple of my newer team members this year, and I've kind of joked with them that I think I've just kind of turned into their therapist a little bit because most of our coaching sessions are around a lot of just habitual things that they've done their entire life, that in order to again be successful in the way that they have said that they want to be successful, it requires a lot of change, and it requires a lot of kind of digging deep into your personal self. And usually you need someone to be a mirror to kind of show you where your weaknesses are so that you can improve on those.
Yeah, it's feedback. And so how often do you meet with your team?
I meet with every single person on my team once a week for 30 minutes.
Wow. So you do spend a lot of time with them. And okay, so I know you're a great listener. I've been around you so much, and you listen, you take notes. Yet, if the listeners right now, if you could share one thing with them that has helped you build a team more than anything else, and I know you could give a whole session on this, right? Yet, give us one of your biggest things that you say, hey, you've got to do this in building a team.
So I am very fortunate. I've had my same real estate coach now for 4 years. Her name is Becky Colburn. She's wonderful. And she actually told me a little less than 4 years ago that I needed to create an avatar of the perfect person that I wanted on my team. So the perfect agent, the perfect director of operations, all these different roles. What would that perfect person be? How old would they be? Would they be single? Would they be married? Would they have kids? What kind of personality would they have? What values would they have? Because I know we talked about that today in our inner circle group. And creating that avatar, the second that I started doing that a couple years into owning my team, it was like such clarity around who do I actually need to surround myself with, who have I currently been surrounding myself with, and where do I actually need to go in the future. So that would be the one thing that I would suggest doing.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of people, they don't think about we attract who we are, not what we want. And they go, I'm attracting the wrong people. And I go, oh, look in the mirror. I've had to do that myself recently, right? To say, where in my world am I doing that, right? That comes out that way. And the listeners, I want them to know about this stress and anxiety that our team members go through. And sometimes we go through along with them or because of them, yet you have been able to find peace and joy in your life and help others find peace and joy even through all that stress. So give us some of your secret sauce there.
So I have gotten so good at focusing on, I like to just call it surrender and then spirit-led living, right? So the less that we focus on what we cannot control, because we know in real estate there are so many things that are outside of our control, the less that we focus on trying to control every situation and giving that to God, the better off our lives end up being. So
I couldn't agree more. People want to control situations, and what they actually need to do is control themselves. Some people are just bullies. I mean, they just want to make life miserable for everyone else because they're important. So when you have a team member like that, or have you ever had a team member like that?
To be completely honest, Diana, I have been that person in the past. And so just being really honest with all of the listeners, I can tend to be that bully, that person that just wants you to do exactly what I want you to do when I want you to do it, right? Yeah. And it actually, I think the biggest thing that I have learned from owning a team is that you cannot force people to do things just because you want them to.
No, they do have a mind of their own, that's for sure. So, when you build a team, you're always taking risks. Will they succeed? And I know you want them to succeed probably more than they even want to succeed. Yet, share with us a recent risk that you took, and what did it teach you?
So I actually personally just took a very big risk and signed up for a book camp that was held by Maxwell Leadership and
Yes,
Brian and Gabrielle Poche.
Yeah.
Yes. And I am taking this huge risk in basically not only monetarily, but also just personally and professionally. I am in the process of writing a book now, and I am just so excited about it.
Well, I'm excited for you too, because writing a book is not for the faint of heart by any means. It takes a lot to not just write it, to finish it, to go through the editing process, to get rid of those little darlings, is what Susan Scott calls them, right? She said, when you write your book, Dianna, you're going to have stories, you're going to have things that you want to hang on to so bad. They're going to be your little darlings, and you're going to have to kill them.
Oh, that's so true. So true.
Well, during this risk and all the things you're doing, though, you have to grow. So, what are you doing to help grow yourself to become more?
That is a great question. I think being a part of the inner circle has grown me so much in the last year to even get me to the point where I am wanting to go on this journey. And what it's actually kind of made me realize is like, yes, I am definitely helping the people on my team and, even my family and all of my friends that surround me with the, growth mindedness that I have in myself. But
Yeah.
how many more people could I potentially help by kind of sharing what I've learned in this process of kind of letting go of control and giving it up to God. And I just know I have a story in there that I hope people will find valuable. So
They will find it very, very valuable. And, being part of the inner circle, I agree with you. You've got to have community. You've got to have a community that stretches you, a community that doesn't just give you more things to think about. I mean, like today, about generational wealth building. That got a lot of people, those 5 levels that we went through and the things that we have to do. And after all, you can make a lot of money. And if you don't keep it, pass it on, and teach the people that you're passing it on to. So what's something that you wish more people understood, whether it be about wealth or real estate, building a team, or growing themselves?
I think that as far as growing yourself, I think people want it to be this very linear path. We start somewhere and we finish somewhere. And those of us who have gone on that journey for many years know that it is full of ups and downs and squiggle lines and all sorts of weird paths that it takes you on. But what is the most important about that is that you're continuing to expand and grow. And that's really what the ending is, right? Did you continue to expand and grow throughout your life so that you can not only be a better version of yourself, but that you can also give that to other people? So,
Yeah, you've got to become more. I mean, it's really not an option, it's a necessity. And I remember on the inner circle where we were talking about the roller coaster of life, and Kate Papkin said, would you buy a ticket to ride a flat roller coaster? And I love that line. I think that is so good because none of us would buy a ticket for a flat roller coaster, yet we want that consistency and comfortable feeling in our life instead of throwing up our hands and going, wee, I'm on a roller coaster ride right now, right? So you've had a journey, though, that's been up and down, and you live on a farm, which takes a lot of work, and you're building a team and selling real estate. So what's something that you wish more people understood about the journey that you're on?
I think sometimes people, I know that I used to be guilty of this too. I think sometimes people look at real estate and look at, how far I've come in my journey, or even you've come in your journey, right, Dianna? They look at it and they think, oh, they just got lucky, or they somehow had it easier than I did, right? And it's like, no, I just consistently put in the work every single day, and that's what I reiterate to my team members, to my kids. You just got to do the work every single day, and over time, that's when you actually see the results. It's the iceberg theory, right?
Right. Well, it's the hard work, the discipline, and the consistency of doing those two things. And a lot of people, they don't have that hard work. As we say, real estate is the highest paid hard work and the lowest paid easy work that there is. And I think that there's so many stories out there. I'd love to hear the story or the metaphor that you often return to help yourself and others grow.
I think a lot about like the kind of think about a garden, right? You plant the seed, you don't see it grow for a while. You're watering it, you're making sure that it's got light, all of these things. And then all of a sudden, just one day, it starts popping up out of the ground, right? And
Yeah.
then the only way that it's going to continue to grow past that point is if you continue to water it, give it sunlight, make sure that it is growing in a healthy way. And that's really what life is, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of like the thoughts or the seeds that you're putting in the soil, and the repetitive thoughts or the watering, and the action is actually the sunlight that makes it grow, because without having the action, nothing's going to take place.
Absolutely.
You got to
Absolutely.
have the thought and then take the action, which I've seen you do over and over and over again. And you're a great implementer. A lot of people, they love information. They're addicted to information and allergic to implementation, right? So, what season of life are you currently in, and how are you living through it? Because you have this peace about you, you have that joy no matter what's happening.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in this in between of, I kind of got past the really, really hard part of the growth, right?
Yeah.
And now it's more about just focusing on how do I not only maintain what I've built so far, not only with my business, but with my family, with the farm that we have, all of these things got lots of balls in the air, right?
Yes, you
But how,
do.
how do I not only maintain that, but how do I continue to grow it into something that, to our point about generational wealth, something that would make my kids proud and that they would want to, take on and take over, or even just somebody else who may want to buy my real estate business someday, right? How do I create something that is worth continuing much past the time that I would like to continue it?
And I love what you're saying. And so let's kind of recap here. I've heard that you have to take risks, that you have a choice in stress, anxiety, or peace and joy, and that in building a team, you've got to care more about those team members than you do the success of yourself. You've given us some real great jewels here. And yet I know that there's something else that you'd like to say. So what is the last thing you'd like to leave with our listeners in helping them become more?
That is a great question. So, if you are someone who lacks the ability, to your point that you made about me being an implementer, if you are somebody that lacks the ability, or maybe you're just not sure how to take information and then turn it into implementation, I would say the very first step is to just go do it, and go do it messy, even if that means that you fail, even if that means that you look silly, whatever it is. I was actually just having a conversation with one of my team members about this, because she's very much getting in her own head about making calls. And it was just one of those things where I was like, you're not going to sound great the first time that you do this. You're probably going to get hung up on. You're probably going to get told no. And if you go into it with that mindset of, yes, I want to help these people, but I might not be successful this time, it's more about just practicing and the repetition that ultimately gets you the life that you really want to have. So
Great, great words of advice. And Mackenzie, the one thing I love about you, and you demonstrate so well for everyone, is your growth. You are constantly growing. You've been a member of the inner circle since we started it. You continue to come to every single session. You take so many notes. And it's not just this, you're doing a lot of things to grow yourself. And your business grows to the extent that you do. I've watched that business start and take off, and your team is so blessed to have you as their leader. So continue. And for all of you who desire to become more, you might want to listen to this once or twice, maybe 3 times, and take some notes, because there are some real jewels here. And after all, becoming more is not an option, it is a necessity. So hit that subscription button below and listen to how you can become more through other people's journeys. Thank you, Mackenzie. So
thank you
appreciate
very
you
much,
being here.
Dianna.